Preamble 2. The True Religion. 1. The Essence of Religion. In one word, the essence of religion in Quranic terms is ibadah, or worship of God. It is in reality worship which the Creator of this world desires of His servants. The Quran says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I created jinn and mankind only to worship me. Surah number 51, verse 56. At various places in the Quran, it is mentioned very clearly that the Almighty sent His messengers to inform people of this very reality. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. And we raised a messenger in each nation with the message, worship God and keep away from at-taghut. Surah number 16, verse 36. What does worship mean? A little deliberation on the above verse of Surah Nahl reveals the answer. Here man has been asked on the one hand to refrain from what is at-taghut, and on the other to worship God. At-taghut and ash-shaytan are used synonymously in the Quran. They refer to someone who is arrogant and rebellious before the Almighty. The opposite of this obviously is humility and modesty. Consequently, lexicographers generally explain worship as humility and servility. If this humility and servility exists in a person with a true comprehension of the mercy, power, providence, and wisdom of the Almighty, then it is instrumental in totally humbling a person before Him with His great love and great fear. The Quranic words khushu, khudu, ikhbat, inaba, khashya, tadarru, kunud, etc. are used to depict this very state of a person, a state which originates from the inner self and which then embraces his whole self. Dhikr, or remembering God to attain peace and inner satisfaction. Shukr, expressing immense gratitude to God on His abounding favors. Taqwa, fearing God's anger. Ikhlas, devoting one's self to God. Tawakkul, trusting God. Tafweed, submitting one's self and all of one's affairs to God. Taslim or Riza, being content at all decisions of God. All of these are the inner manifestations of this relationship between the worship God and His worshippers. In the words of the Quran, this relationship practically manifests itself in the following ways. إِنَّمَا يُؤْمِنُوا بِآيَاتِنَا الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهَا خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَسَبَّحُوا بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ تتجافى جنوبهم عن المضاجع يدعون ربهم خوفا وطمعا ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. None profess belief in our revelations except those who, when reminded to them, prostrate themselves in adoration and give glory to their Lord while expressing their gratitude to Him, and are not rebellious to their Lord. Their backs forsake their beds. They pray to their Lord in fear and in hope, and who spend in His way from what we gave them. Surah number 32, verses 15 and 16. This kneeling, prostrating, glorifying and praising the Lord, supplicating before Him, and sacrificing life and wealth for His pleasure, all these are real forms of worship. However, since a person is not mere beliefs, he also has a practical life in this world. This worship relates to this practical life as well, and in this manner becomes inclusive of obedience. It now requires that a person's outer self also bow down before the Creator, before whom his inner self has bowed. His outer self should also become subservient to the Creator, to whom his inner self has become subservient, to the extent that no aspect of life should be left out of it. In other words, he should become a servant of his Lord in every sense of the word. The Quran says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اركعوا واسجدوا واعبدوا ربكم وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون. Believers, kneel and prostrate yourselves and become servants of your Lord and do good deeds that you may succeed. Surah number 22, verse 77. 2. Definition of religion. When worship prescribes metaphysical and ethical basis for this relationship between a servant and his Lord, institutes rituals and stipulates bounds and limits to fulfill the requisites of this relationship in this world, then, in the terminology of the Quran, this is called religion or deen. The form of this religion which the Almighty has explained to mankind through His prophets is called the true religion, or Deen al-Haq, by the Quran. And its followers are directed by the Quran to fully adopt it in their lives and not create any divisions in it. The Quran says, شَرَعَ لَكُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا وَصَّى بِهِ نُوحًا وَالَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ وَمَا وَصَّيْنَا بِهِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى أَنْ أَقِيمُوا الدِّينَ وَلَا تَتَفَرَّقُوا فِيهِ. He has prescribed for you the same religion which He prescribed for Noah, and which we have now revealed to you, and which we enjoined on Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, with the assertion, adhere to this religion in your lives and do not create any divisions in it. Surah number 42, verse 13. 3. Contents of religion. The metaphysical and ethical bases of this worship, which have been prescribed by religion, are called al-hikmah, and the rituals and limits prescribed for it by religion are called al-kitab by the Quran. وَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمُ وَكَانَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ عَظِيمًا. And God has revealed to you al-kitab and al-hikmah, and in this manner taught you what you did not know before, and great is God's favor upon you. Surah number 4, verse 113. At another place the Quran says, وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَمَا أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ يَعِظُكُمْ بِهِ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And remember the favors He has bestowed upon you, and the al-kitab and al-hikmah which He has revealed to you, of which He instructs you, and keep fearing Allah, and know that He has knowledge of all things. Surah number 2, verse 231. The Quran also refers to al-kitab as a sharia. At one place it says, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيَةٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Then we set you on a clear sharia regarding religion, so follow it, and do not yield to the desires of men who know not. Surah number 45, verse 18. Al-Hikmah has always remained the same in all revealed religions. However, the Sharia has remained different due to evolution and change in human civilizations and societies. The Quran says, لِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمِنْهَاجًا وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. We have ordained a law and assigned a path for each of you. Had God pleased, He could have made of you one community. Surah number 5, verse 48. A study of divine scriptures show that the Sharia constitutes the major portion of the Torah, and the Hikmah generally constitutes the Injil. The Psalms are hymns which glorify the Almighty and are a forerunner to the Hikmah of the Injil. The Quran was revealed as a masterpiece of literature comprising both Sharia and Hikmah, giving warning to those who evade it and glad tidings to those who follow it. The fact that the Quran is a blend of both Sharia and Hikmah is clearly mentioned in the verses quoted above. About the Torah and the Injil, the Almighty, while narrating one of His dialogues which will take place with Jesus ﷺ on the Day of Judgment, says, وَإِذْ عَلَّمْتُكَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَالتَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ. And when I instructed you with the Sharia and the Hikmah, that is the Torah and the Gospel. Surah number 5, verse 110. Al-Hikmah basically comprises the following two topics. 1. Faith. 2. Ethics. Al-Kitab comprises the following 10 topics. 1. The Sharia of the worship rituals. 2. The social Sharia. 3. The political Sharia. 4. The economic Sharia. 5. The Sharia of preaching. 6. The Sharia of jihad. 7. The penal Sharia. 8. The dietary Sharia. 9. Islamic customs and etiquette. 10. Oaths and their atonement. This is all as far as the content of religion is concerned. 4. Prophets and messengers. The envoys of God who have brought this religion are called prophets. A study of the Quran shows that besides being assigned the position of prophethood or nabuwah, some of them were also assigned the position of messengerhood or risala. Prophethood means that a person, after receiving divine revelations, teaches the truth to his addressees and gives glad tidings of a good fate in the hereafter to those who accept the truth, and warns those among them who reject it that a bad fate awaits them. In the terminology of the Quran, delivering such glad tidings is called bashara, and delivering such warnings is called inzar. The Quran says, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ النَّبِيِّينَ مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. Mankind was once one community. Then differences arose between them, so God sent forth prophets as bearers of glad tidings and as warners. Surah number 2, verse 213. Messengerhood means that a prophet is assigned to his people such that he decides their fate through divine revelation, so that if they reject him, he practically enforces the sovereignty of the truth upon them by implementing on them God's judgment in this very world. The Quran says, وَلِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولٌ فَإِذَا جَاءَ رَسُولُهُمْ قُضِيَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْقِسْطِ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And for each community there is a messenger. Then when their messenger comes, their fate is decided with justice, and they are not wronged. Surah number 10, verse 47. At another place, the Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحَادُّونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ فِي الْأَذَلِّينَ كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَأَغْلِبَنَّ أَنَا وَرُسُلِي إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَوِيٌّ عَزِيزٌ. Indeed, those who are opposing Allah and His Messenger shall be humiliated. The Almighty has ordained, I and my messengers shall always prevail. Indeed, Allah is mighty and powerful. Surah number 58, verses 20 and 21. It is in accordance with this established practice about Risala that it was thus ordained about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. It is He who has sent His Rasul with guidance and the religion of truth, so that He may make it sovereign over all religions of Arabia, even though these idolaters of Arabia may detest this. Surah number 61, verse 9. The way this established practice about Risala manifests itself is that the Almighty selects His messengers so that reward and punishment can be meted out in this world through them before the actual day of judgment. It becomes a miniature rehearsal of what is going to take place on that day. These messengers are told that if they honor their covenant with God, they will be rewarded in this very world, and if they do not do so, they will be punished in this very world. The result is that the very existence of these messengers becomes a sign of God, and it is as if their people can observe God walking on earth with these messengers and delivering His verdicts. On the basis of the signs of truth that they have directly observed, they are directed to propagate the truth and present to the people with full certainty the very guidance of God the way they have received it from Him. In the terminology of the Quran, this is called Shahada. Once this is established, it becomes the basis of the judgment of the Almighty, both in this world and in that to come. Consequently, the Almighty grants dominance to these messengers and punishes those who reject the message presented by these messengers. For this very reason, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is called Shahid and Shaheed in the Quran. Inna arsalna ilaykum rasula shahidan alaykum kama arsalna ila fir'auna rasula. O Quraysh of Makkah, we have sent forth a messenger to you to bear witness before you, just as earlier we sent a messenger to the Pharaoh. Surah number 73, verse 15. The position of